Hey y'all, it is me, Love Ashley Elaine, and I am going to be your guide once again. You keep choosing me, I'm going to keep choosing you as we go on this journey to understanding our body, listening to our body, and yes, our body does have a voice. This particular episode, we are going to tap in with another one of my favorite people, Miss Jacqueline. She's living in one of my favorite places in the world, California. We're going to talk about somatic healing. Yes. So you already know the vibes. Get yourself seated comfortably. If you're driving, be safe. But get ready to tune in and get comfortable as we check in on this episode. Hey y'all, it's your girl, Love Ashley Elaine. Listen, I wanted to let y'all know I am hosting my first of many healing retreats this year. Yes, this July from July 19th through the 29th in Costa Rica. Listen, y'all, when I went to Costa Rica last summer, I felt so connected. We're going to be in the jungle for 10 days. So listen, maybe this is for you. Maybe it's for somebody you know, but I'm healing a 10-day healing retreat called Release and Rise in Costa Rica for all my beautiful creatives, my beautiful entrepreneurs. Yes, this is a women's retreat for creatives, for entrepreneurs, for business owners, or if you don't have your business started up yet, you're in those phases of, okay, I know there's something pulling me. There's something calling me to more, but I feel blocked. I can't touch it. I can't reach it, but I can feel a pull. I can feel the transition into what this newness is, right? This retreat is for you. We're going to work through all the things, right? We're moving. Each day has a new topic that we're sitting on that we're going to work through. I have some amazing guest coaches, one that I've worked with for almost 2 years now, right? We've done a lot of one-on-one work, and now she's starting teacher training. Another one that I met in Peru, she's a phenomenal photographer, right? And then I have my own team with me that is going to be giving a lot of gems as well. I'm also very excited I'm going to do a coaching session, right? So you're going to get a live coaching session with me to really talk about creativity in business. Listen, I'm on this journey with y'all, right? I want you to know you're not alone in this journey. You are not alone. That's what I'm here for. I'm your guide. I want to help you. I want to support you. We're going to hold hands and leap together. How about that? Right? We're going to fly and take off together. We're not hitting the ground. We're going to soar right on this thing, right? So if you're a woman and you're feeling like there's a creative block that you're having, or there's something that you're building and you've just hit a wall, come hang out with us in Costa Rica. Come hang out with us. We're going to do a waterfall hike together, really incorporate some energy work, right? Some yoga, some meditation, journaling. We're going to build community. And I think the best part is this isn't one of those things where you come to us and we give you all these things and then you go back home and you're like, okay, now what? Right? No. One thing I never want to do when I'm working with people is leave them high and dry, right? I want to make sure that when I'm not working with them anymore, or there's space in between the time that we are working together, you have what you need to really do the things that we've worked on, right? Really incorporating it and making it a realistic practice, an everyday practice, right? So, what we've also set up is once the retreat is over, we're going to give you a little space, right? Let you get reincorporated into your home life. Maybe you got kids and they haven't seen you and now they're all on your leg. I know what that's like. Or maybe your spouse is like, baby, let's spend some time together because you've been gone in Costa Rica without me for 10 days. Like, let it be, let it do. Your job misses you. They want to pile stuff up on you. Or you just need a minute, right? Whatever that transition space looks like, give yourself that time, give yourself that space, right? Things will start coming up. Things will start cycling. Things will start, you'll start seeing things a little differently. You'll start having a little bit more of a creative flow and questions will start to come up. That's where we come back in the picture, right? We're going to do monthly collective calls, right? They're called the Rise Collective, right? So we're going to give you about a month after the retreat. So sometime in the end of August, which is perfect because we got kids getting ready to go back to school in September. The fall season is starting to come up, right? We want to start looking at what this last quarter of the year is going to look like. The Rise Collective is going to be here for you, right? Each month from moving forward, we're just going to keep adding. So every time we have a retreat, a Release and Rise retreat, we're going to add. We're just going to add, right? This is part of building community. We're going to build community to make sure that whatever questions you have, right, you have us to come back to, right? You have that once a month space that you know is going to be available for you, right? And it's free. So you've already paid your dues to go on the retreat. This space is literally just for our Release and Risers once you come into that retreat space, right? Once you've done your first retreat with us, I promise you, you'll be coming back for more. You'll be coming back for more. So listen, again, we're taking 8 beautiful women with us, creatives, entrepreneurs, business owners, both. And if you're on the brink of moving into this space or want to open up your creative toolbox, right? Or want to really unblock some things. You were creative as a child and now you just feel stifled, right? Come with us. Come hang with us. I promise you, the space is intentional. The call is intentional. We're only looking for those serious people that are like, you know what? I'm right on the edge. I'm ready to leap. And now I have people to leap with me, right? Go to ashleyelaine.me to find more information. Click on that Release and Rise tab and you'll find all the information, costs, payment plans, all of that. The only person holding you back is you. So are you ready to release and rise? So to prepare you for this interview that is coming up, I know we normally do a meditation before all of my interviews, but I wanted to switch it up a little bit because of the interview, right? Jackie dropped so many gems and so much good stuff that I wanted to give you guys a gift afterwards. So I'd rather do it after the interview than before, so that there's context as to what that gift is that I'm giving, that you guys can understand it more. So enjoy this episode, and I will see you on the other side of this interview. Record. And welcome back to Voices of the Body. I missed y'all so much. So this particular episode, we have with me another dear friend. I told y'all, everybody that is now my friend, like I went to the playground, got on the swing, and everybody else that was on the swing is now my friend. My good friend, Jacqueline Mader, I met her in Costa Rica. So Jacqueline Mader is a licensed trauma-focused psychotherapist and trauma-informed yoga instructor in Los Angeles. Y'all know how much I love California. She incorporates a somatic and neuroscience approach to her trauma work with her clients and yoga students and is passionate about utilizing the mind-body approach to trauma healing. Everybody, please give a round of applause and a nice warm Voices of the Body welcome to Miss Jacqueline. Hey, girl.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here talking with you.
Yeah.
It's such an honor. I'm thinking about when you first told me about the podcast in
Mhm.
Costa Rica and how everything has come so full circle that now I'm here with you on it and
Yeah.
how amazing life is.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this too. So much. I I think when we met like in Costa Rica, it was like instant. It was love at first sight.
Oh, yeah. Instant soul clicking.
So tell us about your journey into, of course, yoga, because of course everybody does yoga. Your journey into yoga and just what brought you into becoming a therapist as well.
Yes. Okay. So my healing journey began in college. So I went to school in Boulder in Colorado. And during my freshman year there, I went through a significant amount of grief and loss. So during that time, my own therapist, who I had been seeing for a while, suggested that I take a yoga class.
Mhm.
Um, I had never done yoga before, and it was her suggestion was coming from a place of feeling like we were kind of hitting a wall in a way in our talk therapy sessions
Mhm.
because there wasn't too much incorporating of the body
Mhm.
in the therapy that we were doing together at the time.
Yeah.
So she could see that I was hitting up against some pretty habitual nervous system responses. And so, yeah, she suggested I try yoga,
Mhm.
and it changed the course of my life forever. That first yoga class, as
Mhm.
I'm sure you've experienced,
Yes. Mhm.
that feeling of, for the first time, feeling home in my body, a sense of
Mhm.
safety, a sense of connection um, to my body, a relationship to my body that deepened tremendously um,
Mhm.
from my experience of yoga. So that was extremely healing for me. I went deep into my yoga practice at that time.
Mhm.
Um, and then I ended up doing my first yoga teacher training after graduating from college in Boulder.
Mhm.
And during that time, so I was in India doing my yoga teacher training.
Mhm.
I knew that I wanted to do something with psychology because
Mhm.
that's what I had studied in Boulder, but I didn't really know yet what that looked like for me.
Yeah.
And so I realized during my yoga teacher training that what my ultimate life vision was to blend yoga with psychology, with therapy, and do have an experience where I was, for clients, bringing in some of these Western or Eastern healing modalities with more traditional Western approaches to therapy.
Yeah.
Um, and after seeing firsthand just how healing it was for me to kind of experience this new connection with my body, it felt essential for me to bring that into therapy, into work with clients, since that had seemed like something that was very much missing in a lot of the Western approaches. You know,
Mhm.
I in therapy for years and had never had that mind body approach come in the therapy room.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that became the passion that was ignited in that teacher training in India, and from there it skyrocketed. Then I went to grad school and got my master's degree in clinical psychology. Um, and I now have my own private practice where I incorporate yoga into my work with clients who are primarily healing from trauma.
Mhm.
And I do what's called somatic work. So it's a specific therapy modality that focuses specifically on the body, bringing
Mhm.
the body into um, into the session. So there is talk therapy, but it's mostly focused on mindfulness of sensations in the body as we're processing maybe something from the past, which is we can unpack that, I would imagine, a little bit more. That's a whole thing to get into more what that looks like. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
my journey.
That's amazing. It's really crazy how there's like, so what you've said, right? Like how all, like it's always been, oh, the only way you heal is by talking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, I can sit here and talk to you all day, right? And as much as vibration is healing, right? Like the words you say and the words I say and how that interaction goes back and forth can be healing. There's always, I feel like that makes the journey a little bit longer and harder, right? Because it's like I'm hearing these things, but how do I embody it? Because my body has already embodied certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you say somatic healing, what exactly is that tapping into within the body that allows not just talk therapy to be a, and I'm using air quotes, a healing modality, right? But also both and adding in the body. What is that actually like connecting to or getting you to bring focus to within the body?
Yes. So great question. It is bringing a connection to the nervous system
Ooh.
specifically.
Mhm.
So,
We're about to
yes,
nerd out a little bit.
yes, we are. We could talk about this all day. Yeah, so this is what you're saying is really accurate. I think where talk therapy can sometimes miss the mark, and this is not um, to bash on traditional talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, those types of approaches can be so important, of course, in helping to gain self awareness, intellectual understanding, insight into our patterns, into past experiences. All of that is so essential.
Mhm.
Um, and what I've found in my own experiences and with working with clients is that that can only go so far,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to healing trauma, because I'm sure everyone's heard the saying, right? The body keeps the score,
Yes.
right? And so everything we go through, it gets stored. Certain past painful experiences, trauma gets stored in the body um, to some extent, right? And so that's where just kind of understanding things at the cognitive level um, can only go so far with healing, and that's where these types of therapies, somatic modalities, take a look at helping to heal at the level of the nervous system,
Yeah.
which is so like when we say trauma gets stored in the body, what we're really talking about is some of these survival states that the body goes into, fight, flight, or freeze, which I'm sure we've all heard about, as protective coping mechanisms.
Mhm.
And so these types of therapies um, help kind of train the nervous system to learn how to be with discomfort and
Mm.
be with familiar triggers that might remind the body of the trauma without having to go into some of those habitual survival states in the nervous system
Mhm.
without staying stuck there. So
Yeah.
they kind of help the nervous system expand its capacity
Mhm.
to be with big emotions, intense sensations, to help have a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah.
um yeah.
Mm. 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 So what have you seen in some of your clients when it's time for them to kind of sit in it physically?
it's like for the first time that they're going inward and
Yeah,
tapping into.
that very first time, because it's like, okay, we're doing talk session, talk session, talk session. And now it's like, okay, that one session, that first session to now start getting into the body. What has been your experience in seeing like clients kind of move around in that first session?
Well, usually it's right off the bat from the first session.
Oh, you go
We'll
in.
have, yeah, well, it's a gradual going in,
Yeah.
right? It's important to not flood the nervous system and overwhelm the nervous system. But right from that first session, we'll maybe start with a body scan and kind of gauge their level of current connection to the
Mhm.
body. Um, but we'll have this practice of training, kind of stopping, like we'll be talking about something from the very first session. If I notice that there's maybe a big emotion that's starting to arise, rather than continuing just to kind of talk about the experience or the story or the content. What's
Mhm.
different about somatic therapy is we will pause, and have them kind of sit with or just notice the physiology, notice the sensations. Can we stay with the emotion, and just kind of notice from the inside out what's
Yeah.
happening? So I would say that's the big difference too with somatic therapy, is that we're not doing so much meaning making or analyzing of an event. There's not so much of a focus on the story or the narratives or
Yeah.
the experience itself that the
Yeah.
client might want to be coming in to process.
Mhm.
It's how did that land inside, right? Like,
Mhm.
because trauma is not what we're interested more so in somatic therapy, is not so much what happened. Um, it's about the impact that that had on the body. And
Yeah.
every nervous system kind of has its own threshold, right? Its own capacity. So one person could go through, let's say, like getting rear-ended, something not so extreme, and they could
Mhm.
be very traumatized. And then another person could go through, let's say, 9/11,
Yeah.
and handle that quite well, something much more extreme.
Mhm.
So that's what shows us that it's really not so much about needing to talk about the event, but about the way that it's, about how the body is processing that and how the body was impacted. So
Mhm.
that's where, kind of from that first session, we'll practice what it's like to hold, to stay with certain sensations in the body. And then that'll gradually increase the more the nervous system is kind of able to expand its capacity to be with those, to be activated.
Yeah.
So it's like yeah, it's almost like training when you're going to the gym and you're,
Mhm.
at first your muscles are weak and then eventually it becomes more second nature.
Yeah.
Um, when you're lifting weights, like similar to that first session where people might have a really hard time staying inside and staying connected. And then we'll
Mhm.
do some grounding or some resourcing. But eventually, as the sessions go on, it's really fascinating to see people's capacity expand for, being with some of those sensations as they arise and kind of getting more comfortable with the discomfort. And that's really where the healing happens. It's beautiful to witness.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that was kind of a long-winded answer to your question.
No, it was perfect. Yeah, because I think it made me think about vices, right? That people have to try and escape from that discomfort, right? It made me think, like, it made me like think about a lot, of course. And it also made me think about a lot of like inner cities, right? People that have grown up in inner city spaces where there might be like constant gun violence and robberies, break-ins, all these different things that, in communities where there might be like you said, the threshold, right? Like where someone from another community coming into that might be more traumatized than the person who's basically like lived in it, right? That person that's lived in it for so long, what does that look like, right? So when we talk about the nervous system, let's say a person has basically grown up in a not so trauma-free neighborhood. And it's just like thing after thing, because community impact is also huge on people's
Mhm.
healing and their discomfort, like things that they experience in life. What would be something you would recommend to somebody that lives in an inner city area where there's constant violence, gun violence, and all these other big capital T traumas that
Mhm.
take place, and they're kind of like, okay, I can't really move, right? So to an
Mhm.
outsider, that would be like, oh, you can just move, but it's like, I can't really do that. I need to find a way to be able to still be comfortable in my home and in my body while
Mhm.
I'm still living here. What would be like advice you would give to somebody in that space? Because it's like just a long history of trauma, but they know that something's not right, but they're not really connected to
Yeah.
exactly what it is because it's
Mhm.
so familiar.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's really tricky because their brain, every time they hear a loud noise or get those familiar triggers, their alarm bells, most likely in those scenarios, like the survival brain is always on,
Yeah.
right? On alert, on hypervigilance. So I would say to combat that, having a real consistent practice of um, learning how to regulate the nervous system, whether that's through breath work, through there's so many different somatic practices, but I would say that's really what we're doing in the somatic work, is helping the nervous system learn how to regulate through these different practices, so that every time there's a noise, the body doesn't have to immediately on have this kind of knee jerk reaction of going into some of those survival states like a fight or flight.
Yeah. Yeah. Survival mode is it's a scary space to be in, because it can become very permanent, right? It could become a space where it's like, well, this is all I know, and I can't even tell if my body or my soul is calling me to something
Mm-hmm.
different or bigger or even just more, right? Maybe it is asking for you to move and you can't sense it, right? You can't feel what that next calling is. um
Mm-hmm.
do you see in your clients that as they continue to progress through the somatic healing work, that they're starting to kind of turn this corner of, okay, what is it that I want to do with my life?
Mm. Yeah, I think that's really natural to coming out of survival mode, that there's more choice that's
Yeah.
then able to be tapped into. I think trauma can make us feel robbed of choice, especially
Mm.
like what we're referring to, that if you're in an environment you simply can't get out of, your freedom and your autonomy is you feel really gypped of that, right? And so when you're starting to kind of come out of survival mode, that's a really common thing I do see with my clients, where there's all of a sudden these desires to now that there's been so much change internally
Mm-hmm.
to change things externally. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I do have the power to like, I'm already noticing in small examples, right? A microcosm of that might be a client kind of saying, oh, I'm noticing I have choice for the first time. I'm able to choose how I want to respond, how I want to
Mm.
consciously respond versus unconsciously react by going into some of those survival states. And
Yeah.
so I'm seeing that that's possible, that it's available to me to choose how I want to respond, to actually stay calm, grounded, centered, um, in a moment where in the past I might have gone into a full blown, freeze mode or whatever it was. And so that, I think that possibility, getting a glimpse of that on a
Yeah.
small scale, can really open up someone to, wow, maybe it's possible to change things on a bigger level in my life and
Yeah.
have the power of choice for the first time.
That's such a beautiful space to be in. I'm sure for you, like
Mm-hmm.
to see your clients start, like their eyes are getting bigger and it's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm starting to feel like, all these good feelings now, right? Like all these positive things and all these jolts of like, ooh, that looks interesting. Ooh, that's attracting me. Ooh, why is that, glimmering differently than it has before, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
such a, I think my biggest thing with like, really wanting people to find what healing looks like for them, right? Is because once you're able, it's like a pair of glasses, right? If they're filthy, you can't see nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like at this point now, you're just wearing them and hoping that you'll be able to maneuver and get to where you need to, right? Like that windshield on your car. If it's disgusting and dirty and muddy, you can't see anything until you actually say, you know what? There's something I need to clean off of this that is going to allow me to even maybe have a peek, right, at what something else is, right? So when we think about relationships too, have you noticed any of your clients, like as they are continuing with the somatic work, right, their outlook on relationships might be different, not so much good or bad or positive or negative, just whatever clarity looks like for them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if it's so much their outlook, but I think whatever might be unhealed or what unresolved
Mm.
inside can easily, right, get spilled over onto relationships. I mean, I think we've probably all been there. I've been
Guilty.
there. Yep. Yeah, so real. So I think that's what's beautiful, is noticing a showing up differently in relationships as a result of healing things, healing maybe attachment wounds
Mm.
or any kind of big relational ruptures that might have happened even in childhood. And
Mm.
then clients will, yeah, what's really cool is noticing clients who maybe have been really stuck
Mm.
in a certain relational pattern, or um, bringing some of those childhood triggers, like the ways that they would get triggered in childhood, same thing in the relationship. So
Yeah.
noticing that, yeah, that they're showing up differently, or that they're attracted to different people who are healthy, who are um, more of an embodiment or a mirror of the healing that they've been doing.
Yeah.
It's so cool to witness.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I can't imagine. She'd be like, girl, you walked in here different today.
You got a glow. You're shining.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So what are some things that that people can kind of start doing at home, right? If they, and I don't know if I want to, I mean, move into like, okay, start a meditation practice, right? Because we're also trying to get people to move away from seeing, meditation and yoga and breath work as like a spiritual thing, and making them feel like they have to like kind of die to their religion and pick this up, right? When it's really about like, how can I just connect with myself and connect with my body and bring awareness to my body, right? So what are some maybe like little things that you can offer people as something that they can do at home that's like, I don't want to say super easy, but very accessible for them, to where, maybe right now they can't afford therapy or afford to go to a yoga class, although yoga should be affordable for everybody, but that's a different podcast episode. Um, but what are some things that you would offer people to do at home, that they can start kind of building like their own little journey back home to themselves?
Yeah. So one of the first things I suggest to my clients as a practical practice to start to integrate aside from our work is um, doing a daily body scan.
Mm,
That's huge to start to form and develop a more connected relationship with the body. So basically, what that could look like is simply taking 5 minutes um, in the morning or at night and bringing your awareness. So, starting at the top of your head and just working your way down with your awareness to different parts of your body until you get down to your toes,
mm,
and seeing if you can feel the aliveness in each of the places that in the body you bring your awareness to.
yeah.
So, just this simple practice of mindfulness of the body can be so important, so powerful for starting to kind of get to know the language of your nervous system, of
Mm,
kind of like, oh, I'm noticing um when my neck is really tense or my palms are hot or um, I have a kind of a flutter in my chest, then maybe my nervous system is in more of a heightened state,
mhm.
right? And then it's like, okay, what can I do to try to regulate in this moment?
Yeah.
Maybe that's, you know, doing some dancing or stretching, going on a run, whatever it is to engage the body so
Mhm.
that it can come back to regulation,
Yeah.
right? But I think the what's really important, yeah, about that body scan is just noticing what sensations, like often when I have folks do this, they'll report even just after a week or so of doing this every day, um, that they notice certain patterns of, oh, I notice now, I know how to detect when my nervous system is dysregulated because I
Mm.
have X, Y, and Z sensations that always arise inside. And that's what's so important is just that simple noticing of, okay, my body's giving me messages or giving me signs that it might be dysregulated. And now going back to what we talked about with choice, now I have a choice instead of staying in this dysregulated state, how I
Mm.
want to, you know, come out of that or ground myself
Yeah.
instead of kind of feeling like we have to succumb to that or stay stuck there.
Yeah. I love that. Body scanning is amazing. It's really amazing. And you don't even have to do your whole body, right? You can do from crown of your head to your throat or your shoulders. You can
Mm-hmm.
do, you can break it up into whatever feels um good, right? Until you start to build out that practice, right? So maybe Sunday morning you start with, the crown of your head to your chin, right? And then you ride with that and just notice, sense, and feel. Thank you, Dr. Cree, for that. And then maybe you add in the shoulders and the heart space, right? And just keep going from there, right? The goal is to just kind of notice what you're feeling, what's coming up, and be vulnerable with yourself, right? And allow judgment to not be a thing, right? And just allow whatever has to naturally come, let it come, right? Like, I'm a crybaby, y'all know this. So there's times where meditation or sitting in a body scan or whatever that is, my practice, I feel like I need to cry. And it's like, okay, well, obviously there's something there and I need to release that, because holding it is just going to block all these other things along the way. So, so beautiful. So before we close out, I am starting something new where every time I have a guest, I ask them a question with 3 different little tidbits, right? So here's your question before we close out. If you could literally lead your life from your soul, where would you be? What would you do? And how would you feel?
Oh, I love that. Woo! Okay, let me feel into that a moment. I would be in Mexico. I'm sure
Ooh,
that's no surprise to you. You know,
yeah.
love Mexico so much. That is always where my soul comes alive. I would be teaching yoga there. I would be um, having therapy clients there, having a private practice there on the beach. I would
Ooh.
be leading retreats there in community, um, doing ecstatic dance. I would
Mm.
feel vibrant, alive, and invigorated. Every
Mm.
that would be leading with the soul. I love that
I
question.
see this so much for you. Your jewelry is always very like Aztecish, and I love it. I love it. I'm like, she belongs in Mexico. She definitely belongs in Mexico. Jacqueline, thank you so much for the work that you do, and being a part of this beautiful healing community, and really bringing people into the best versions of themselves, right? It's quite a journey for ourselves as healers. So when we get to that space of alchemizing, which is what you're doing, it's a beautiful thing to be able to give that gift back to other people, and pull that out of, pull that goodness out of other people and show it to themselves. So thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for coming on to my beautiful show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I loved this conversation. I could talk about this all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a paradigm shift. I know for myself, when I first started somatic therapy, I was like, oh my God, there's so much wisdom and intelligence in that the body holds that I've been so disconnected from for
Yeah.
so long. And I feel like as a culture, for the most part, so many of us live from the neck up,
Mm.
right? And
Mm.
so this is where, whatever it is though, whether it's somatic therapy, whether it's, yeah, the quick body scan, dance, um whatever, like for one person specifically gives them that juicy connection inside, hold
Yeah.
on to that because it's so important.
Yeah, yeah. And it doesn't have to be yoga, y'all. Like, we just
Yes.
love yoga. So that's what we're going to talk about, but it doesn't have to be yoga, right? The goal is to find what's going to allow you to bring your body into relationship with the rest of you. So, thank you so much, Jackie, and we will be right back. And we are back. That was such a beautiful conversation with Jackie. Jackie's such an amazing person, and she does amazing work. And just for clarity, right? Somatic healing is not just yoga, both, and it's been worldly recommended as the practice to go to, just because of how much of it requires you to come out of your head and into your body and feel within your body, right? So again, you guys, I've shared my journey into how I got into yoga, and the proof is always in the pudding. This isn't, of course, a podcast where I'm trying to convince everybody to come do yoga, right? Yet the practice of yoga is not just what you do on the mat. It's also a way of being. It's a lifestyle. So with that being said, as you recall, Jackie talked about body scanning, and it came up a couple of times. And I'm actually going to do a body scanning practice with you all right now. So you can come back to this recording. You always have access to this recording, but find yourself in a comfortable seated position or laying down. If you're driving, I would just be safe, be caution, use caution. Make sure you're focused on what you need to focus on. And like I said, you can always come back to this recording. But we are going to just get comfy, get cozy, and allow your body to just come into rest. So take a nice big inhale and gently release the exhale. One more time, nice big inhale. And gently release the exhale, allowing every exhale to release any tension or anything being held in the body, allowing it to be light. Yeah. One more nice big inhale. And exhale. And I want you to just allow yourself to sink into your seat or sink into your mat or your bed or whatever posture you're in. Option here is to close your eyes or bring your gaze down your nose, whichever makes you feel safe in your body and in your surroundings. And begin to bring awareness to the body parts that I call out. So begin to bring awareness to the top of your head. Bring awareness to the left ear, left jaw, your chin, your lips, your eyebrows, your right ear, right jaw, right side of your neck, the middle of your neck, left side of your neck, your left shoulder, left arm, left wrist, left fingers, your left pinky, left ring finger, left middle finger, left pointer finger, left thumb, left palm. Coming back up the arm, so left elbow, left pec, left ribs, left hip. Coming across the body, right hip, right ribs, right pec, coming down the arm, right wrist, right thumb, right pointer finger, right middle finger, right ring finger, right pinky, right arm, right shoulder, coming back up from the shoulders, right side of the neck, coming up the neck to the right bottom part of the jaw, bring awareness to your chin, bring awareness to the left bottom part of your jaw. Bring awareness to your left ear, your nose, your teeth, your tongue, back down to the throat, bring awareness to the right ear, and bring your awareness back to the top of your head. And just allow yourself to be, taking inventory of what you felt, what came up, and where you're holding on to anything in your body, in that upper part of the body. So take your time, slowly reawakening the body, right? Wiggling your fingers, moving your head from side to side. There's no rush in coming out of this, right? You really want to take your time and sit with self, sit with your body, and let your body talk to you and tell you what it's holding on to, what's coming up, what's been suppressed. Let it release what needs to be released with no judgment, no shame, no guilt. Not calling anything bad, not calling anything good. Just allowing what is to be. And when the body is ready, slowly coming back up into your comfortable seated position. If you weren't seating already, if you were laying down. And gently blinking the eyes back open, bringing yourself back into your space. Take a nice big inhale. And exhale. One more nice big inhale. Filling up the chest. And gently exhale, being kind to your body. Last one, nice big inhale, filling up the belly, filling up the chest. Bringing the air all the way up and through to the throat area. And hold for 4, 3, 2, One, and gently releasing the air from the body as if a balloon is deflating, nice and slow, nice and gentle. And just check in with yourself, right? So that body scan we only did from the hips up. Body scans can be the whole entire body. It can be the outer body. It can be the inner. It's the whole entire body. But I wanted to just give you guys a small little sample of just the upper body, right? So we brought focus and attention to the throat area. We brought focus and attention to the arms and our fingers, our head, all of that from the hips up. So you again have access to this recording. I'm thinking about doing a bonus episode and like doing a full-on body scan. You guys might get a treat for that. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. Yeah. Make sure you drink plenty of water. Take care of yourself. Do some journaling. I love you all for free. Namaste. What is up, everybody? This is your girl, Love Ashley Elaine, and we are back for Voices of the Body Season 2. I'm so excited. I've been away from this too long, even though it hasn't been that long. But when you love something, right? Why keep yourself away from it? No matter what life is doing, life gonna be life, but make sure you do what your life is calling you to do. Listen, I have a great surprise for you all. We are starting a Patreon. Yes, we are building our own Voices of the Body community. In this Patreon, we will have dialogue, right? We've created a safe and sacred space for you to come and just start building your own healing community within Voices of the Body, right? You have a voice, so I want you to use it. Don't be afraid to use it. In this Patreon membership, we will also leave space for you to ask questions, right? We will also share those questions on our show. We won't use your name unless you want us to. We will also have some of our special guests that come onto the show, some of the people that I interview, that I meet along my journey, along my path, to come in and do some behind the scenes conversational stuff with us as well. It's $5 a month. You can't beat that. It's a beautiful space for us to be able to just really use our voice, right? Really come back from some of these episodes and discussions that we have and really tune in, right? Make it a little bit more applicable to our lives. Listen, I'm experiencing some great shifts and I'm praying the same for you. I send all of you love, blessings, and abundance. I love you all so much for free. Thank you for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for just being a supporter, right? You are the voices, right? Yes, this is our community. Voices of the Body on Patreon. Go to Patreon and find Voices of the Body. I love you all for free. Namaste.